Welcome to Out and About with Trev, COVID-19 Lockdown Editions 2020. Well, welcome to another episode of Out and About with Trev. Currently here in Melbourne, we're still in lockdown level 4 and we can't do much. There's only a few reasons that you can head out, and you can only go 5 kilometres away from where you live. So, as people have seen on my previous episodes, well, the recent episodes, I've recently been focused on working on this car, and I got this Subi a few months ago. There's a couple of episodes showing some of the work I've been doing on it. I've had to replace a lot of the bushes in the suspension parts and the rear and the front. Replace the front CV drive shafts, and as you can see, the engine's out at the moment. Had a bit of an oil leak, so that was leaking. Everything else pretty good. The engine was still running, so there's no real damage on it, but it's currently all it's been taken out. That was an interesting day, and it was great to use some of my big tools like the crane and the engine stand. My rattle gun was really helpful with all the amount of bolts you had to take out. So I took a lot of photos because this thing's tricky. These engines are a bit different to your normal engines, and I've got a lot of, like I say, I've got a lot of photos of that, and hopefully I can just put it all back together and hopefully it'll run. I'm looking forward to once I get this back in, I'll be turning the key and having it run, and then I'll be able to relax at that point. But at the moment, I'm waiting for quite a few supplies to come in. I've got I just got a couple of days, or yesterday I got the head gaskets kit, the timing belt kit. I've got a few other, I've got new rings and stuff coming. So I've got quite a bit coming over the next couple of weeks. I've sent the heads away. Because here in Melbourne a lot of the businesses are shut down, I contacted a company up in Wangaratta and Northeast Head Repair. And I contacted them and said, look, I'm down in Melbourne, can I send these heads up to you? They said, yep. So I sent them up, and hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks I'll get them back. I'm not exactly sure how much it's going to cost, so I'm still waiting for that as well, find out just what their invoice is going to be. But anyway, it has to be done. Once I get that and all the kits and everything that I need, I'll be able to put the engine back together, throw it back in here, and this is the last part of the project. This is the end of it. So once I get this done, then I just got to get a couple other things done, and then it'll be back on the road. So certainly looking forward to that. Already planning when we're allowed to leave Melbourne. At the moment we can't. Planning into the future, either later in the year or well, hopefully later in the year. Be able to head off on a nice driving trip, and it's been a while since I've been able to do that sort of thing. People that have watched these episodes will know that I've mentioned I haven't owned a vehicle since August 2013, so that's 7 years ago. For most of it, it didn't bother me too much. Here in Melbourne, we've got quite a bit of public transport, and that works. But especially in regard to doing filming jobs, I've got to carry a lot of equipment. This is going to be great for that. Be able to pick people up and take them to the locations. That'll be good as well. So, but it's not just for the work. It's going to be nice just to be able to go for a drive. I'm planning a nice trip back up to Bright, where I used to live, but that's into the future. But for the moment, the focus right now is just waiting for all the bits and pieces to come in so I can put the engine back together. And I just thought, well, you can see where it's at, and basically this is where it's at. I've been doing a couple other little jobs too. While I had the engine out, I thought I wanted to put in some CB radios. I wanted to run some cables for the antennas. And I had a look at it and I thought, well, while the engine's out, it's a lot easier to get access to the engine bay. Easy to run some cables. So I've got there's one antenna there, there's another antenna over there. This blue cable down in here is actually just a dedicated 12-volt cable from the battery to run the stereo, the radios, and it's also going to provide power for some USB ports I'm going to put in there, because a lot of stuff that we use now can be charged or run off USB, and I can see that we'll be doing some job somewhere. We'll jump in the car. I'm sure someone's going to say, hey, can I charge up my phone? We might want to charge some of the microphones or something. So I'm already putting in some extra USB ports, or putting in some USB ports. You know, this car's a 2001 model, and back in 2001 they weren't putting USB in cars. They had them in computers, and that was about it. So, but now we've got USB everywhere. So, put some of them in, and then she'll be off. So some of the extra jobs that I planned to do later when it was on the road, I've actually started to do now. So I put the radios in, got the antennas in, they are all working. I'm about to buy some driving lights, because again, you've got to run extra cables for that, and I just figure that'll be more easily done with the engine bay all open like it is now. So it's a bit of a Fred Flintstone model there. I jump in there and pedal it myself, but shortly that'll all change. So hopefully by the next episode, it should be about putting the engine back in, or putting it back together, putting the engine back in, and hopefully we turn the key and she'll make the right noises. Well, that's basically where it's at, and I can't do much out and about at the moment, but hopefully in the near future, once we get all these lockdown issues and the COVID-19 issues sorted out, really it's not so much the lockdown, COVID-19 is the real problem. Once we get that sorted out and we can go off and head out into all the nice areas around Victoria and even further, plan to take this to some really cool locations. And I think starting, you know, as of next year, out and about with Trev should certainly be a lot more out and about. But for the moment, it's stuck here doing this. Cheers, guys.